If you're new to my channel, I always just have this fascination of trying out old technology to see how it compares with new technology or pairing it with new technology to see if it still performs pretty well. And in today's video, I am so very excited that I finally got my hands on the legendary i7-4790K. This is the CPU that really dominated a long time ago, and it was very strong at that time, but people still think it's really fast, and I kind of wanted to verify that. So I happen to have one underneath here. This cooler is the 4790K. It wouldn't be my content though if I wasn't comparing it to another CPU. So over here, we have the Ryzen 5 5500, and what we're going to be doing in this video is pairing them both with 4 different GPUs. Actually, this is going to be a 2-part video because it's going to take too long for me to do all of that. But anyway, what I'm going to be doing is pairing both of these CPUs with 4 different GPUs and testing out 2 different games on all of them. So the games we're going to be playing are Crimson Desert and Counter-Strike 2. I felt that was a pretty good match of like purely CPU FPS based, and then one is more like graphics and, you know, how well are we going to be able to utilize the graphics cards. Now, for the graphics cards, we're going to be starting out with a 2080. Then we're going to move on to a 3060 Ti. And then we are going to move to, oh, this thing is so heavy, a 3080. And finally, we're going to pair both of these CPUs with a 9070 XT. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to be a 2-part video. So obviously the video that you're watching now is the first part. We're going to pair both these CPUs with the 2080 right here and the 3060 Ti, and then the second part will be the 3080 and the 9070 XT. And what I'm going to do in this first video is we'll benchmark it all, put it on the chart, and then on the second video with the 3080 and 9070 XT, we're going to compare everything so we have a lot more data to see how well is that 4070-90K comparing to a 5500. And honestly, if it does pretty well, I might compare it to an even more modern CPU like the 9600X, or, hold on here just for a second, I might compare it to a more modern CPU like the 9600X, or we also did just so happen to get one of these that I'm very excited. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm very excited to be testing. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is going to be a 2-part video. The first one, 2080 3060 Ti. I do want to let you guys know I do have a newsletter where I did kind of drop the ball on this because actually what I do on there is update you guys of upcoming content, and the 4070-90K is something I've been wanting for like a month or so, and just so happened to get one yesterday without knowing I was going to get one yesterday. So normally what I do on that newsletter is I'll tell you guys, hey, here's some video ideas I have. This is what I'll be releasing pretty soon. And I let people make comments because I want to know what games you guys want to see, how you want me to push the hardware, maybe what graphics cards you'd like to see paired with what. It just gives you guys, the viewers, an opportunity to influence how the videos come out and what kind of content comes out on this channel. And that's actually a free product. It'll come to your email. It'll show you the newsletter. You'll get to read up on it and comment on it. However, there is a paid version. If you like my content, want to support the channel, I actually do have a paid version where you will be supporting the channel and have an opportunity to win. Oh, this is so heavy. This gaming PC right here. Is this covering my face? I think it is. So this gaming PC is actually a Ryzen 5 7500F, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and it's going to have this RTX 2080 in it. I did a video benchmarking this if you guys want to go check it out. But yeah, if you're interested in the free version or if you want to support the channel, be sure to check that out. I'll have it linked in the description below. Otherwise, let's start part 1 of this and jump into the 2080. We'll go to the 3060 Ti. All right, you guys, so now we have the 4790K paired with the 2080 on Crimson Desert. I'll show you the settings really quick. We do have everything on low. This is a 1440p monitor, 165 hertz refresh rate. Real quick backstory. So a while back, I bought a box of random PC stuff in it. From the Facebook Marketplace listing, I could see that there was a Ryzen 7 5800X, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and then a tough B550 motherboard. So I thought just that alone was good, but it had a couple power supplies and it had a random motherboard in it, which actually happens to be this motherboard with 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, sorry, and this 4590. I tried out the 4590, it was so slow. It took me an hour just to load Crimson Desert, and it was a miserable experience. So my initial plan was to use that board and give it away. I like doing local giveaways where I hold events. So like I held an axe throwing tournament and I gave the winner a PC. I had a Christmas event last year where I posted on Facebook Marketplace, free PC. All you have to do is comment, or not comment, but send me a message like who the PC would be for, you know, a little backstory of what it would be used for, and I did a drawing to give it away. I just gave it away for free on Facebook Marketplace. Have I done anything else yet? I know I gave my brother, whoa, I can't go in there. I gave my brother a PC for his birthday. I surprised him and tricked him into reviewing a PC, but what he didn't realize was he was, like, I just like kind of doing that stuff, and I was gonna hold a rock, paper, scissors tournament and give this 4590 away. It was too slow. So I wanted to get a 4790K, and honestly, like, I have one now, and that's what I plan on putting in this, and it is really good. Like this, I think this is beating out the 2600, the Ryzen 5 2600 I use. I'm really curious if it's going to beat the 5500. So I haven't been doing any of the descriptive stuff because I'm just so excited to talk about this, but I am extremely impressed by this so far. I've had to do this intro a few times, and I already started the recording of like the numbers and everything, and there was a big stutter at one point, but I don't know if it was the CPU or if there's a background thing kind of running, but yeah, so this is pretty good for the 2080 and Crimson Desert. Let's go ahead and go over to Counter-Strike 2, and then we're gonna go to the 3060 Ti and do both the games, and then we'll swap over to the 5500, so yeah. All right, you guys, now we are in Counter-Strike 2, 2080, 4070, 90K still. We're gonna run around, shoot at some people, miss some people, give you guys some real benchmarking information. Now, I do want to remind you all that I am a human. I make very many mistakes. So, you know, just be prepared for the fact that there's probably some incorrect data somewhere in this. I most likely made some kind of mistake somewhere. There are several benchmarkers that are significantly more talented than I am at just the hard numbers. My goal is to like give you guys, how does it feel while I'm playing? What kind of experience am I getting? You know, show you the potential with the game running, like real life play while I'm playing, just to give you guys some information and like insight of someone that's doing it instead of just like, I don't know, for me, I've always preferred like actually seeing things happen. So, you know, I'm, well, for one, here's how human I am. There's no sound because I couldn't get the power management to take 2 USB devices, and it's not that I couldn't figure it out. I just don't want to, you know, whatever. The no sound is fine. So, or it might not, honestly, but it would take a long time. So I prefer to just give you guys like real gameplay, how it feels, and honestly, this feels really smooth. The FPS aren't like crazy high. The FPS aren't crazy high, but this is a really smooth experience so far. I haven't had a single stutter. I haven't had any problems. In fact, I don't even know what settings we're on. I forgot to look at that. What are we on? We're on medium. We're on medium on a 4790K. Usually sitting above 100 FPS. Oh, I missed. Oh, I missed again. There we go. Usually sitting above 100 FPS, sometimes dipping below it. On a relatively modern game. Oh, I'm really bad at this game. We could probably swap over from this now to the 3060 Ti. Yeah, that was the end of the match. So let's go ahead and swap over to the 3060 Ti. And like I said, this is gonna be a 2-part video. So the next video, which should ideally be tomorrow, will come out. We'll do the 3080 and the 9070 XT, and then I'll have a big chart at the end comparing all of it to see if there are spots where maybe the 4070 90K shown through, or you know, if just the 5500 is better overall, which I assume it probably is, but I never know. So let's go to the 3060 Ti. All right, guys, now we have the 4790K, 3060 Ti, Crimson Desert loaded up. I will probably just keep us on low settings. Oh, what is happening there? Yeah, did we just crash? We did. That sucks. That took a really long time to load that. Dang. I guess, so we are facing maybe some instability issues every now and then, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. So now we are on the 4070-90K, 3060 Ti, Crimson Desert. Oh, it does not like when I try to go to this menu. Does not like it at all. Come on. Man, it is. Hello? It's acting like it's overloading. Interesting. Hello? There we go. That took a really long time. Everything is still on low. I had some issues. I had like one really bad stutter with the 2080, so I'm starting to think that potentially the CPU is seeing some stability issues. Someone commented on the post that I made showing this. They said it still runs well, but it does have some stuttering and stability. So we are starting to see some of that. Really just gonna kind of do the same path, run up here. You know, visually, this is really impressive. I think you would, I have had some people say they do run this in 1440p, the 4790K, and I think even some people said they do 4K, but they're probably not doing like modern games like this modern. But I'm still impressed because the 2600 ran this like complete garbage, and when it's running this, it's running it pretty well. Well, complete garbage isn't the right statement. It ran it okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. So this has been pretty solid. I'm pretty impressed. I'm really excited to see the 5500 how it compares to this, because like think about this for a second. So this only gets Windows 10 because it's too old for Windows 11. So that is a downfall. But think of how cheap DDR3 RAM is, how cheap a motherboard is for something like this. And then like the 4070-90K is kind of expensive. You can find them for like $60, $70. But imagine if you could drop $300 in your cost and just play on something like this in a 3060 Ti. Like, that would be insane. So just a really good budget option for people. Will I die if I jump down something like this? I've never tried it. Bonk. Yeah, that did seem to hurt. I don't know where my health bar is, but that seems like it's probably enough. Let's go ahead and swap over to Counter-Strike 2. All right, guys, we are now in Counter-Strike 2 on the 4070-90K, 3060 Ti. I should still be on low, or I think we are on medium. Let's make sure we're on medium. Yeah, medium. I will start the test. Let's go through here and try and do some fragging. I had to go back through and do it again on the last round on Counter-Strike. On the test, I didn't finish the test like a genius. So the gameplay and the actual benchmarking are a little different. So it's gonna look a little higher on the chart than what was in the game, but it is accurate. Some of it also had to do with the fact that I ran DDU, and that helped. That helped like increase the FPS. So again, sometimes I make mistakes, don't do things perfectly. I might remove a driver or not remove a driver, whatever it might be. So please forgive me for being a noob, you guys. I try. But this feels really smooth. Like, this feels really smooth. It feels really playable. It feels like, this feels what I would hope for out of like a mid-range modern CPU. Not even low end, like mid, I guess maybe you could say low end, because the 5500 is pretty much, that was just complete luck. The 5500 is like budget low end. The 5500 is like budget low end-ish. So, you know, if this is comparing to that, then I guess this would be budget-ish. So we're gonna swap over to the 5500 now. We're gonna do the 2080 first on both games, then the 3060 Ti, and at the end I will have a chart that compares it all. And then in part 2 of this video, we will do the 3080 9070 XT and compare all of it. All right, you guys, now we have this monstrosity here, the Ryzen 5 5500 with the 2080. I ran out of cases. At some point I do just need to invest in some open test benchmarks. But we're gonna start this FPS test. Let's make sure that we have this on low, just to be fair. This does, I will say this immediately, is it does feel faster. Now, there are moments where I think the 4790K was incredibly fast, looked amazing, performed really well, but I think the consistency is higher with the 5500. I could be wrong. We'll have to kind of run through this, but even now, I think we were sitting at like 60 or maybe 55, 60-ish FPS on, I think so. I think we're sitting at 55 or 60. We'll look at the graph at the end here, but I think we had higher FPS on the 4790K, which I should have researched this and looked before, but I'm fairly positive that the 5500 is supposed to have a higher clock speed. I think it's 4.2 and the 4790K is 4. I could have looked that up, but I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments, so that'll be fine anyway. Man, that 2080 goes. Oh yeah, there was no sound on the first one, but we do have the sound on for this one too, so.
The air is tense.
We are also not pushing the CPU all the way. I mean, I think we were at 100% on the 4790K, so there is that. Okay, well this is probably enough running around. I mean, the visual quality looks pretty solid for being on a 2080. I mean, I think I've done the 5500 and the 2080 several times, but this is definitely a good pairing. You know, it's running well. The GPU is at 72 degrees. If it wasn't the case, it'd probably be at like 75, 76, but pretty solid. So let's go ahead and swap over to Counter-Strike 2. All right, you guys, now we have the 2080, 5500, and Counter-Strike 2 up. Let me show you the settings real quick before we get into the game. So we still have medium on, disabled on VSync. Still don't know what to expect. I think we're probably going to get higher on this. I think we're gonna see a little more stability. In fact, I think this is a decent amount higher. I think this is like 40, 50 FPS or more than what we were getting on that 4790K. So definitely starting to see some differences here already. Felt smooth on both, but you know, we never know what's gonna happen when we run these kinds of tests. I'm thinking we're going to see much better 1% lows. That's where I think we're gonna come out ahead. Yeah, it's feeling pretty smooth. I am definitely not noticing like any sort of dips or like hard stutters or anything, which I think we may have had, you know, here or there on the 4790K. So we're probably safe to say this is stronger, at least in Counter-Strike. I think it's possible that we were better on Crimson Desert. Now, of course, it would be a lot better if I did this on way more games, in different types of games. Oh, there's a chicken. But I can't do that because I don't have the time to do that. I mean, I probably could. I could probably do that, but you guys would have to let me know in the comments if you wanted me to do way more games, way more in depth. This would have to be like a 5-part video or something. Let's go ahead and swap to the 3060 Ti, and then we'll do Crimson Desert, Counter-Strike 2, and then we'll see the chart and really kind of compare. Now, obviously, some of these things that we're going to be seeing in this game or this video are like, there will probably be a natural, what's the word, bottleneck for the 4790K and the 5500. Like as we continue to go up in cards, we'll see less progress in the cards than what you should expect, but who knows? I'm just some guy on the internet. All right, so now we have the 5500, 3060 Ti, Crimson Desert. Let's go and jump into the settings really quick. Sometimes I be pressing buttons on here and I don't understand or know why they happen, and you guys are probably laughing at me in the comments. Because I try out so many games and so many processors and so many graphics cards, like it's really hard for me to know all of these things. Oh, we are on low, cool. I think we were slightly higher, even so, on the 4790K. Okay, now we're coming up in the FPS. So that's good to know. I mean, the game looks really solid. I guess I probably could have made some more comments about the quality of it, how it feels, if there's any stuttering, but like, well, I guess I did about the stuttering, but just like the smoothness. But neither of these CPUs on these graphics cards have felt like, because I've played like Black Myth Wukong before and stuff like that, and you'll like move your mouse and it'll take a second for it to catch up to you. I think that's considered motion blur, or I don't really know, but it's very disorienting and it like causes me to have motion sickness. So this does look really, really good. It feels really, really smooth, very, very responsive. This is in the city too, where generally your CPU usage is going to be really high. As you can see, you know, we're up to almost 100% there. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time in it because we keep going through the same area. At some point, you guys, I'm going to get a little further in this game and actually accomplish some things, but I have not done much, so sorry. I know it has very mixed reviews. Like some people absolutely love the game, and some people just have no interest for it. I am not a single player kind of person. I play them because I know that people appreciate it, but like I have a hard time with, maybe if it was 10 years earlier, but like I just don't have 2 or 3, 4 hours to sit down and grind. So I guess that's my only qualm, is like I do enjoy them. Hate is the wrong word. Like I just don't have the, yeah, so like I mean I did enjoy playing Spider-Man 2, Black Myth Wukong, even this, like in Borderlands 4, it's just hard, you know, when you're a father, you do a lot of things. Like it's just hard to find the time, and I'm too tired. Like by the time my little girl goes to sleep at night, and soon a son, you know, you're worn out, and 8:30 is there and you're like, I'm ready to go to bed. So I'm lame. You guys can say what you want, but let's go ahead and swap over to Counter-Strike 2. That seems like it's enough for this game and enough of my rambling. And then we will pull up the graph of these two benchmarks for the 2080 3060 Ti on both these GPUs, or CPUs. All right, final game, Counter-Strike 2 on the 3060 Ti, Ryzen 5 5500. Then for this part of the video, part 2 will come out tomorrow, or should come out at some point as long as life doesn't happen. We are gonna compare everything from these two GPUs and these two CPUs, and then tomorrow, or whatever day, hopefully tomorrow, we'll do the 3080 9070 XT, put it all in one video so we can just see the massive difference if there is one, or if it's much closer than we think. Feels really responsive. I think we might actually be getting higher 1% on this, but not as high highs on this compared to the 2080 with the 5500. Also, if anyone's ever like considering getting a 5500, it is pretty adequate for the majority of games. You may run into some issues with like hardcore esports FPS type games. Like I don't know, most of them are just like, as long as you have a decent CPU, it'll perform. I feel like that's pretty common. I'm probably wrong, and some of you guys can be like, that's not true. All of these games are really demanding. Oh, there was a stutter there. I don't know, leave some comments. Leave some comments leave some comments down below. Again, words are hard, guys. Leave some comments down below of games that like are esports types and are very demanding, that aren't easy to run on everything. Like League of Legends is an esport game, but it's not very demanding at all. It doesn't take much. This game like takes a little bit, but I still don't think it's that. Like if you're competing at a professional level, you 100% need a really strong CPU. Most people aren't competing at a professional level. Most people probably don't even ever get out of gold or whatever their ranks are here. Leave a comment. That's probably enough. Let's go ahead and swap to the chart and see how everything did. All right, you guys, so here we have the chart of the first two graphics cards paired with these. So on the left here, we have the Crimson Desert. On the right here, we have Counter-Strike, and I'll kind of break it down for you. So we have the 4097K with the 2080, the Ryzen 5 5500 with the 2080, 3060 Ti, and 3060 Ti. The blue is average, orange is 1% low, and the green is 1.1% low. Huh, that's not what I wanted, but we'll just go by based off of the average and 1% low because that's what matters. So on Crimson Desert, the 3060 Ti got a few more frames, but the 2080 got quite a bit more frames than the 5500. So as I mentioned, I think in that story single player kind of game, the 4070 90K felt like it wasn't bogged down as much and the CPU didn't matter, and it had a much higher 1% low than the 2080 did. Whereas over here, there was a pretty good percentage higher 1% low on the 5500. On Counter-Strike 2, so let's take a look here, 2080 versus 2080. We actually had more FPS on the 4790K on the 2080, a good amount more from the 3060 Ti to the 3060 Ti. As far as 1% lows, wow, we actually had 7 or so, 1% low higher on the 2080 for the 4790K, and on the 3060 Ti, it was, 7 points higher there as well, but with a much higher FPS average. So some of these things could be attributed to human error. I did something wrong. I think we're seeing kind of blow for blow though, that these two CPUs, at least in these two particular games, are pretty much identical, which is really cool. That was a really fun test, and I'm glad I tried it out, and I'm really excited for part 2 because I thought the 5500 was gonna pull so much further ahead than it did. And when we go to pair the 3080 and the 9070 XT, are we gonna see a massive difference, or are we kind of seeing the natural limitation? Because usually most people say the 5500 and a 3060 Ti is kind of the sweet spot. So are both CPUs just gonna be limited? I don't know. It's been fun testing this out so far. So I'm really excited to do part 2, which should be out tomorrow unless, life happens or something, then it'll be a couple days. Don't forget about the newsletter. If you do like the content, there will be updated information about what to expect, and you could potentially win this gaming PC right here. As I mentioned before, I will have that linked in the description below. Otherwise, as you guys go, consider checking out some of this other content, and I will catch you guys in the next video or in part 2. See you there.